And we're live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. Vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because sometimes a lonely voice is the only one that's really needed. And if that's me kind of ragging on my co-hosts, it's a little bit. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble, and you can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. That's SHUJIN. Hi. Yeah, at the moment, I'm the only one that's here, but that is going to change. I do have word that Tech and IO are a little bit delayed. I'm hoping, of course, that Brigid will be showing up in just a little bit as well, but it's one of those things right now. So at the moment, I'm the only one that you got. And you'll forgive me, before Discord goes ahead and starts complaining at me, I will go ahead and turn my camera back off again. Discord's got this big thing that they don't like it when you're streaming a whole bunch of video and there's nobody to stream it to. Is what it is. And yes, I could probably get a secondary video camera to hook up, but you know what? No, I don't have that right now. I mean, I could. It's like super relatively cheap, but you know what? It's not even worth it. We'll deal with that later. In any case, hi, good to be with you. And before anybody kind of wonders about it, am I actually emoting through the camera even though it's not currently on? Yeah, I'm absolutely doing that. So let me introduce you to everybody that's on the panel at the moment. That'd be me. It's the way it works. Don't worry about it. We'll have everybody here in due course as time goes on. However, if you, as the consumer of the show, would like to be part of this while we're recording on YouTube, feel free. You can join us as we're recording live, and you can be part of the live chat over there, which in the moment is going to include Stephanie, because hi, it's good to have you over there. And I'm glad that we're, getting to a little something or other that is going to be helpful for you. And you remember how just a couple of moments ago I said that, we would get folks showing up as they show up? Well, would you look at that? Being able to join UnrenownedTech. You made it. That gives me an excuse to turn the camera back on again, and that means I need to switch around all of the stuff.
Yes, I did.
How you doing, man?
I woke up late.
Such happens. It's okay. Oh, and I've got
at least hopefully I'm not at risk of falling asleep tonight because I've had a nap.
Well, that would definitely help. So good to have you. Yep. I didn't mention it just yet, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it. I do have Open Weathermap open right now. I have 2 tabs open because I don't have enough Chrome tabs open just yet. Currently over here in the Buffalo market, it is minus 12 Celsius. And it's only going to keep going down from there. One of our favorite places to talk about every once in a while is Yellowknife up there Canada way. Yellowknife is currently at a balmy minus 24 Celsius. They're apparently on a bit of a heat wave at the moment again this year. Go fig. I didn't go pulling up Washington,
we're
D.C.,
at
but
6 Celsius.
Oh, joy. Isn't that fun?
And
yep.
Mm-hmm. So that's basically 21 Fahrenheit. Tomorrow, with wind chill factor, we might drop down to 1 Fahrenheit.
Yeah, I've been pretty close to that. I've not been real happy because my car has not liked the temperatures. I'm pretty sure it's just the battery, but at the same time, I've got a battery charger, so that actually works out.
See, here's the thing. In freedom units, Fahrenheit, I don't mind temperatures between 15 degrees Fahrenheit and 20 degrees Fahrenheit where everybody else is chill. I will go outside, I will take my coat off, and I will enjoy that. It's kind of like an air version of the polar bear plunge, right?
Gotcha.
Some people really enjoy that. I do. I'm not that I've done the polar bear plunge, but I the air version of it. I like how it feels going through my sinuses and my lungs. I like the feeling on my skin. To me, that's really good. I know how to dress also if I have to work outdoors in those temperatures. But when it goes down into single digit Fahrenheit, that is danger territory. I have a lot of respect for the cold as much as I love it. That's a very, very dangerous territory. And people in this area that I live in have no experience with it. They have no clue what to expect. And they're talking about winds in those temperatures anywhere from 20 to 40. That's 40 miles per hour. At those temperatures and at those wind speeds, bad things happen with the trees in this area and the bridges and just certain materials like metal and glass in general. So it's going to be a very interesting tomorrow.
Yeah, I just ran the conversion because we have somehow or other, we acquired one of those little family radio service radios with a weather radio receiver. And every once in a while I will turn that on to, catch up on what the NOAA
radio.
Weather.
Yeah.
And one of the things that popped up this particular week in particular was warnings that the wind chills were going to be negative 24 Fahrenheit. Now, for those of you that are kind of wondering, okay, what is that in real temperatures? Yeah, that's negative 31 Celsius. And there is a warning that went along with it that you should be covering any exposed skin because you can have frostbite in as little as 25 minutes. So for anyone that needs to be out of doors for any extended period of time, anything you can do to minimize wet on your outside layers or even the inside layers, and make sure that you've got something resembling, getting out of the wind every once in a while. I have very much been the old man in the group and telling everybody, okay, 2 cars tops at a time, then come in, rotate it out. Because it's been bad. People showing up when it's the coldest of the year so far. Admittedly, yes, in Buffalo, it's January, February now. And, saying it's the coldest of the year. Yeah, this is where it starts getting like vicious cold now. And people dropping off with big U-Hauls full of actual furniture. As somebody funnier quite often says on some of these video shorts, don't do that. Just don't do that.
Yeah, and we're Northerners, and so we understand the different methods that Mother Nature tries to kill us in the cold. But I have lost count of the amount of people that I have had to tell down here. It's like, look, you need 3 layers in this kind of cold. You can get away with 2 if the outer layer does 2 jobs very, very well. But ideally, in this kind of cold, especially tomorrow, you want 3 layers. The first layer, the one that comes in contact with your skin, is a moisture wicking layer. You need to pull the moisture off your body if you're going to be working outdoors or doing anything strenuous outdoors, or if you're prone to sweating even when bundled up, because that's a real thing, because you don't want the moisture on your skin.
Nope.
That will take away the cold faster than anything else is wet skin. Secondly, wet materials do not help you insulate very well, if at all. So your second layer should be something like wool, something that's doesn't soak up water. It's relatively water resistant. It can be synthetic down or real down, anything that's going to provide a buffer between you and the cold. And it should have like essentially air gapping like wool and down do.
And better yet, any air, the puffiness in that air layer is the stuff that's also going to be keeping heat in that air gap, and you want that.
Yeah, exactly. And then the final layer, and I know this may sound silly, can be as something as simple and thin as a windbreaker. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to prevent that second layer from coming contact with the outside air. So that air buffer, that second layer, is not just retaining that air gap, but it's also warming, like he said, and with a windbreaker or something better, preventing that layer from touching the outside air as much as possible, it stays warmer longer, meaning your body has to do less work trying to warm itself. So those three layers together will essentially save your life in extreme colds.
Yeah. Now, there is one other piece also to go along with that one. By the way, um,
Cardboard.
well, hold on one second. I don't know how to pronounce that. I want to say it's Markham. I'm sorry. I'm looking at it this way. The account name is showing M3RKK3 M RM Markham. I'm looking at it. It says Markham to me. It's the way my brain operates. It's saying no old timers allowed on YouTube. Four Eyes. What's up? Really? Yes, I went through that whole thing just so that I could get to that point and point out there's a song for you, and it goes, "You're a dumbass. You're a dumbass." It's been a long time since we had somebody come over in here and just troll us because they wanted to. Except that, you know what? Not so much. So, you know what we're going to do? We're going to leave it right there for the time being. And then, when I get the opportunity, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to report your ass. Is it going to do much? A little bit. But you know what? You want to go ahead and you want to show off how much of a dumbass you are? Welcome to it. Besides, bring your friends next time. It'll drive up our engagement. Thanks. It's appreciated. And Stephanie pointing out that UK just does not get those temps. We understand that. There are a couple of guys from the UK who have been vlogging, I guess, their adventures, especially out the Midwest and the Great Lakes, and experiencing the weather out here and realizing that we are built differently. Because they finally saw what lake effect snow is like. And I think it's fair to say they're goddamn terrified of it. And rightly so. Lake effect snow is no joke. It is no joke. And for anyone that has to be dealing with shoveling snow, especially if it's a lot of it and you're not used to it and you're not in, and be honest with yourself, good shape, you don't have to be in great shape. You don't have to be in, you shouldn't be in just okay shape. But if you're in good shape, please be mindful that overdoing it can cause heart attacks. And I say that because every season out here in the Buffalo market, there are a number of people, admittedly Buffalo is an old city, they go outside, they go shoveling, they have a heart attack. Some don't make it to the next season. So just be mindful. Just be careful, right? And for those of you that don't have to deal with the winter weather quite the same way that we do, and all you need is a leaf blower, good on you. Lucky. Very, very lucky that way. And Tech, I'm sure you remember the times when it's just, there's so much snow on the ground, but it's a big, fluffy stuff that you can just lean over and just literally just blow into it. And it's like, I could get a leaf blower.
Yep.
And you clear your entire driveway with just a leaf blower in the middle of winter.
It all depended on the type of snow that fell. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we grew up in the mountains. We're familiar with several different types of snow. And, you get somebody who grew up and has only known the southern states, they get one kind of snow and they're they don't understand the same way that if we were to suddenly go up to the Eskimos, we would have only the vaguest concept of the amount of different names they have for the different types of snow that they get, because they have so many more different types than we do. So it's quite the eye opener for some of these southern folks down here by me.
Yeah.
Oh, and fun fact. I'm the only one in my neighborhood walking around on ice like it doesn't exist.
Because you know what you're doing.
Not just because I know what I'm doing, but because I'm cheating. I picked up, there are these rubber grips that you slip your shoe into, and the bottom of them have metal studs. And there's variations of them, everything from pointy versions to ones that look like coiled springs. They all work to a varying degree. And if you have any of them, you're walking around down here like it's just fine. And of course, I have the extreme version because we get more ice than we get snow. And so it's really funny to watch people trying, I say, to walk their dog down a hill. I feel bad for the dog.
Yeah. Poor little pooches. And that's another thing. If you have animals, unless it's specifically something with a breed with the word Alaska in it, or Yukon, don't. No.
Or a husky.
Yeah. Yeah. You will definitely know very quickly which animals like to be outdoors, because they will go dive bombing into a snowbank.
Now, that being said, at one point, against my will, I had a tiny dog. And that tiny dog loved the snow. But the problem with said tiny dog is said tiny dog was powder white fur. We lost the dog a few times in a matter of seconds. Granted, the hopping around, made it easy. Like, the dog didn't get lost outside for long. It was, where'd they go? Where'd she go? Where'd she go? Where'd she go? She's over there. How the hell did she get all the way over there? I have no idea. She's buried under the snow.
I don't know what to tell you. In any case,
I've got an all-black cat who loves to eat snow. So,
that's all right. Ukraine had a sniper that loved to eat snow. Also loved to shoot at Soviet infantry in the snow for days. But that's a whole other thing. We can talk about the White Death another day. There was a thing that had come up not too very long ago on one of my video feeds where it's just like, yeah, you want to know about this guy? Epic Rap Battles of History just fairly recently did a thing comparing, what was it, rap battle between the White Death? Yeah, the White Death and Baron von Richthofen, the Red Baron. They had some really good quips, but that's a whole other thing. And Lexa made it. Morning. Good to see you. And yeah, we'll see about all those. And Stephanie's also pointed out that the videos of people being yelled at because their huskies are outdoors, and people are just like, no, no, you got nothing to worry about. He's fine. They're fine. It's adorable. Anywho, let's get things rolling because, like I said, we are hoping and expecting that Io will show up. She is, I had forgotten, she's out at an event. We'll see how this plays out. Brigid, I'm not sure, but we'll wait and see. The worst that can happen is we don't see her.
If I remember where she is, she's probably getting worse weather than we are right now.
Which is entirely plausible. But hey, cold weather, cold temperatures is really good for pushing electrons through. Unless the switches get frozen into place for some reason or other. That's a whole other thing. Anyway, we'll get that rolling. We'll get this rolling here, and then we'll see how that plays out. So, with 5 minutes on your clock, your 5-minute freestyle starts here. Helpers. Now, if you go ahead and you check the show notes for this week, and I know I didn't update the show notes from that I said I was going to before. I'm sorry, it's just been terribly difficult for me to handle going back through that one. I have a link for everyone to take a look at an interview that Fred Rogers, Mr. Fred McFeely Rogers was doing, where he was talking about his mother. And I'm paraphrasing because I'm taking part of it out, which was whenever there is trouble, whenever there is a problem, whenever there is a catastrophe, look for the helpers. It's a really wonderful and simple concept because you're not looking for a uniform. You're looking for the actions. And that's more important. As much as we would very much as I would very much like to depend on the police, because I still have in my head, the police are the Blue Knights. They're honorable. They're the ones to be trusted. Not so much. And I can't tell you how much that hurts. We would very much like to say that there is a uniform, a cloth, an emblem, a symbol, where you can say, that's the group. That's who you want to go to. In New York City, at one point, it was the Red Berets for the Guardian Angels on the New York Metro. For others, it was the Black Panthers and the regalia that they wore and their jackets and their symbols of power. For others, it might be the suits that the guys would wear for the Mormons, because that's who they believed that they could trust. It's not about the uniform. It's not about a symbol. You don't rally around a symbol. You shouldn't. You rally to those actions that benefit the most, that harm the fewest, that bring hope, that heal wounds, that prevent or minimally lessen suffering. You go looking for the helpers, the ones who are giving out a Dixie cup of water to someone who needs it. Or in some cases, even just pouring some into a cup or a bottle cap to feed an animal that's trying to escape from a wildfire. Yeah, that happens too. There are people who are out on a bike ride and they're suddenly attacked, if you will, by I don't know what the proper term for it is, but just follow me a second. A clutch of kittens. And what do? Well, they do the thing that they hope will help the best. Are they okay? Do we have some food? Do we have some water? Can we give them something? Is there a mama nearby that's hiding, so we should just leave them to mama? Or if it's an animal that's otherwise in distress, free it from netting. Take a hook out of its side. Take it to a rehabilitation center. You help those in most need. Give them a voice. Heal their wounds. Give them food. Clothe them. Shelter them. Whatever it is. But sometimes that's all that's really necessary. There's a little story that said that a little kid walking along the beach picked up a starfish and threw it back into the water. What are you doing, kid? I'm helping that starfish out. Well, there's so many more. What difference does it really make? It made a difference to that one. All you need to do to make a difference is to be helpful. Hope we can all make just one little help here and there. Because that makes all the difference in the world, doesn't it? That out of the way, I did see that there was stuff going on over on the side panel with everybody talking. I don't know what y'all talking about. Don't really much care at the moment, but that's okay.
We were just talking about shoe coverings for the snow and, caring for them so that they don't disintegrate or break, and, how a lot of people aren't doing that.
Fair enough. So let's move it along because we've got the horrible scopes. So for those of you that know what your astrological sign is, cool. Those of you that don't, I don't care how you figure it out for yourself. We recommend using a D12 that you buy new from a local reputable dice vendor, game store, because they could use a couple of dollars or quid or whatever. I know. I said dollars and then I went to quid when I should have gone to pounds or euros, but fine. A couple of bucks. Couple of quid. I know how to use the term quid correctly. Leave me alone. Shut up. So as much as mentioned last week that I've got a reputation to uphold with these, apparently someone's setting me up for a new reputation with these. So yeah, another week, another bribe. This time it comes in the form of a twofer. Because first they're asking for a theme. Perseverance in the face of adversity. That wasn't exactly how they worded it, but you know what? It's still a good mood from last week, so that's the way I'm going to put it. And secondly, for one star sign to especially get a gooder scope. They didn't actually use the term gooder. It just felt fun to say it that way. So with a little help from Coach Gowron on BlueSky, let's see what advice we're going to come up with for all of you. And remember, everybody, when we say, so this week, you're supposed to respond with, and you're supposed to type this and send this through, you're supposed to say, Gowron says. Everybody got it? All right, cool, good. You know how this game...
I prefer Martok.
Well, we didn't do Martok this time. We did Coach Gowron because Coach Gowron is an honorable Klingon, and I can respect that. I don't have to like him all the time, but I can respect that. Aries, you got a lot of people who adore you, some who tolerate you, and a select few who wish you active harm. It isn't easy to know who's in that last category until the last moment. If you need to be defended, you need to know who to rely on. So this week, Gowron says, the enemy of my enemy is not always my friend. Such may be an ally for a time, but friendship requires that someone stands with me against my enemies, not because of who my enemy is, but because of who I am. Be worthy of such friends.
Taurus, the Klingon way is very often through combat. It is a warrior's way to subjugate an enemy through honorable means. When your enemy has no honor, then there can be no common rules in effect. So this week,
Gowron
says, calls for civility are often weaponized by abusers, by bigots, by those who would oppress you. If it is considered impolite to speak out against dishonor, then it is time for a true warrior to be rude. Speaking of late,
Gemini, this week you get the Gooder Scope, and we found one for you. We all go through a lot, and life has a habit of kicking into the teeth. But that doesn't mean you've lost. So this week, Gowron
Gowron
says,
Gowron says,
it is not possible to always be your best self. Life is complicated, and every day is full of challenges and compromises. But never forget that your best self is present and strive to live up to it through it all. Hi, guys. I mean,
I see that. I have
howdy,
to.
Chipper.
I have to adjust your volume level on the fly. That's fun. Don't worry about it. Don't you do anything. It's on my side to fix, and it's fixed now.
it is. Yay. Okay.
Because we're professional. With quotation marks.
Ooh, I got my first credit card as somebody living in the United States.
You got a credit card? You're a real American now.
I know.
Yeah,
I
but
just wish I was a real American.
I say that sarcastically, no offense.
I'm not.
We need less credit cards in this country.
that would be fewer. Cancer Moonchild, if we told you to take a hike, you might actually do that literally. So you can see we recognize the enormous responsibility we have in helping you through the week ahead. So this week, Gowron says, Kalas tells us that where your journey takes you is less important than who you are when you get there. Be true, warrior, and be glorious, no matter your destination.
Amen. It's not the end. It's not the destination. It's the journey.
I'm gonna have to read that
Leo,
later.
you like to be the center of attention, to stand out in a crowd or on a stage. You like to be in the spotlight, figuratively speaking, but this time you'll need to step up and be the spotlight. So this week,
Gowron says,
fear is like a monster in the dark. Shine a light on it, cast away the shadows, and its fangs grow shorter, its claws blunter, its power over you diminishes. Let your resolve be your light, and may you hold it high like a warrior, like the warrior you are.
Can I switch with you, Shu?
I'll take care of that. Oh, you want to do Libra then?
Yes, because it's kind of stupid for me to do this one.
Yeah, because Virgo, yeah. Io snooping.
So she'll do Virgo,
Io
Libra, I'll do Scorpio.
Yeah, Io snooping ahead. Cut it out. I see you doing that. Stop that.
I was making sure that you were writing the scopes the other day, and you know,
Yes.
I was going to cheer you on.
Virgo, you're hard on yourself, more than you need to be. You think you need to do much more than you already accomplish, but have a hard time seeing where that boundary is. There are ways to do more without bringing harm to yourself. So this week, Gowron says, a true warrior knows you don't have to be the wisest to make a wise decision. You don't have to be the strongest to offer your strength to someone in need. You don't need to be the greatest to be a good person. And you don't need to be the best to bring forth the best in you.
Libra, the universe as we understand it is a monumentally gargantuan structure. Its vastness defies most mortals from understanding even a glimpse of its wonder. But we will grant you some small insight into all that existence grants our puny little minds. So this week, Gowron says, a renowned Klingon educator tells us that we are made of star stuff. The matter that became you was forged in the heart of the very stars themselves. Never doubt the boundless glory and potential within you. After all, you were made that way.
Scorpio, you, on the other hoof, know that when there's a battle of wills, you're there on the front lines. You're just itching for a fight most of the time, and that's respected. But the fight isn't always as simple as swinging a blade. So this week,
Gowron says,
a lone voice speaking truth may be drowned by a cacophonous enemy. But when true warriors stand together, add their voices to a chorus, the words gain the power to sweep away any perfidious clamor. Today, of all days, add your voice, warriors, and sing for what's right.
Sagittarius, the honored way isn't always an easy one. Sometimes it weighs heavily on the brow because you can't clobber someone and make them be empathetic. They're just pathetic. You can't allow yourself to ignore the cries of those who need help and strength most of all. So this week, Gowron says, there are those who celebrate ignorance and intolerance, cruelty and hate. Do not let them snuff out the light of honor. True warriors, stoke its flames until all they can do is burn themselves on it.
Capricorn?
Fire's cool.
Capricorn, success in battle isn't always measured in who is left on the field. Loss in battle isn't always measure of one's ability to strike hardest. Sometimes the win is deep inside oneself where no one can see the battle scars. So this week, Gowron says, bitterness and cynicism are a form of surrender when anger at injustice remains, but the will to confront it is dulled by resignation. As true warriors, let anger at injustice be bright and righteous, and let it drive us to confront its cause and cast it down.
Aquarius, you've tried to understand your value, but never understood how to approach the question in the first place. It's not about guessing on your part. It's about doing. So this week,
Gowron says,
honor has no price tag. It is bought only through actions, through conducting yourself with integrity, with kindness towards others, with ferocity towards those who promote hatred and bigotry. Nor can anybody, no matter how wealthy, buy it or take it from you. Honor is priceless.
And finally, Pisces. I'm being attacked by a kitten. What you need has always been inside of you. That self-imposed line you've painted isn't worth adhering to if your enemy doesn't recognize it as an honorable rule. And never let the enemy try to use your warrior's way against you in dishonorable ways. So this week, Gowron says, calls for civility are often weaponized by abusers, by bigots, by those who would oppress you. If it is considered impolite to speak out against dishonor, then it is time for a true warrior to be rude.
And those are your horrible scopes for this week. Remember, if you like what you got, well, at least I'm hoping that some like what they got. Some are dissatisfied, I've come to understand, and, well, that just means I'm going to have to up my game next week. And as an aside, to those of you that are unimpressed this week, up yours too. If you would like to bribe me, you can do that by asking, and there are several ways of doing that, which include actual fungible assets. Money. So if you'd like to go ahead and do that, you can do that over at the coffee page. That's coffee.com/Icarus the Lunar Guard. I'll have these posted at the end of the week. Tumblr, Facebook, Coffee, Discord, BlueSky, and of course, as mentioned, a very large and honorable thank you to Coach Gowron on BlueSky for both inspiration and permission to use his posts. Kapla.
I actually sent him a message and told him that I recorded yesterday's show.
That should prove to be interesting. We'll see how
He hasn't replied.
Not yet, but we shall see.
I'm sad he hasn't replied.
Give it time. Subspace isn't instantaneous, you know.
It should be.
It's episode 562 on the docket, Your Honor. Practice Safe HEX. Okay. The overall news cycle has been tumultuous, to put it nicely. It has been difficult to handle for some of us emotionally. And by some of us, I mean me. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to lighten things up just a little bit and talk about stuff that's like somewhat important. Because if you don't have a digital device, you can't exactly interact with us these days. So we're going to talk about that. Because prices for computers and computer components are stupid right now. And there are various reasons for that. AI tech bubble. Sorry, I was coughing there for a second. What? So let's kind of talk you through how to maximize what it is that you've got, how to keep it operational, how to extend your usefulness, and, you know, hopefully do it with almost no cost whatsoever. Because some of the stuff that we're going to get you with, there will be no cost whatsoever. So over in the show notes, I have already added a number of items for everybody to kind of look at, which include new operating systems. Specifically, I've got in there, and I know full well that Tech's going to go ahead and sing the praises and have a little bouncy moment in his chair. Distrowatch.
Ooh.
Tell the nice folks about Distrowatch, would you there, Chief?
Distrowatch.
Tech? Did
I'm sorry.
you hit a mute button
Push the
somewhere,
talk.
didn't you?
Well, first I forgot to push the talk button. The second I hit the mute button on the headset, so I'm like,
I don't see anything in the show notes.
Are
you put it in the
you
show?
talking about the Distrowatch website?
Yes.
Okay, so Distrowatch, like, if you're any person who enjoys any version of Linux, bookmark the website, distrowatch.com. And have fun in the forums.
Ooh, baby, yeah.
So what's funny about Linux is that there's so many different flavors of it. You'll have so many arguments and conversations about which one is better, which one's best. You know, do you use BDS? I was going to say PDSN.
That's not what you were going to say.
Sorry,
That's not what you were going to say. I heard what you were going to say.
I just came from a BDSM dungeon. I came specifically for here. I left.
Anyway, BSD, Debian, there's a couple of different flavors of Linux that are considered to be like foundational versions of Linux. And then there's offshoots of them. As many as there are as many offshoots of Catholicism, you can say there are offshoots of Linux, because Linux can be customized for just about damn near everything, right? Whereas with Windows, you kind of have like a home edition, a student teacher edition, or educator package. You have the professional edition. You even have a server edition, you know, and then you have the next iteration of Windows that comes out however many years later. But with Linux, there are packages that are so tiny that they work on quite literally the miniature integrated circuit boards that are no bigger than your thumb, you know. And then there's other ones that here's the fun part. If you play video games and you connect to multiplayer servers, there's a high probability those servers are running Linux because they have low overhead cost, they run clean, they're customized for what they're needed for, and it's free.
That's what I was hoping you were going to get to.
Now, keep in mind, there are some versions of Linux that have been customized by companies that have special licensing rights to be able to sell them. And in return, they also provide technical support. But if generally speaking, if you're going to download Ubuntu or Linux Mint or Raspberry Pi, you are your tech support specialist. That means you have to read the wikis. You have to go into the forums and the Q&As. You have to input. Nobody's going to come out to your house and fix your Linux Mint-based computer that you've put together.
You break it, you bought it.
You have to do that. Right. Well, in this case, you break it, you fix it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And Linux is so versatile that you can take a machine that was running Windows XP that's sluggish as hell and put an iteration of Linux on it and have that machine running as fast, or at least as responsive, as a brand new machine off the shelf running Windows 11, or faster in some cases, because the bloat generally is not there. You pick essentially a flavor. And I am not one of those people who's going to go around and say, you need to use this or you need to use that. I'm not a Windows fan, but it has a place in the market. It has a use. And so does Linux. So does Apple. Okay. I used to joke, apples are great, especially if you own a boat and need an anchor. But they do have their place. They really do. Especially like you ask anybody who does video editing or graphic design, there's a pretty good possibility they're running an Apple product for that. Just because it's hard to dispute how good those systems are for that. Likewise, if you're doing your own cobbled together systems, there's a really good probability Linux is going to be a good solution for whatever it is you're doing if you have the knowledge to back it up. And so, like that, Distrowatch is a great way to find out what flavor is going to suit me best.
So, Isle, you've been a Windows kid for quite a long time, the best as I remember, correct?
Sweetheart, I used to telnet into a route and use Pico to do my web pages.
By the way, I grew up with Windows back when you had to load DOS. So
Same.
She's not the only Windows user. I've been using Windows since DOS as well.
And just to make you burn from both ears, let the smoke come out, I've used Red Hat, I've used Mandrake, I've used Ubuntu, and I've used at least 2 other versions of Linux. I currently live in a house that has 2 Raspberry Pis. I have 3 working laptops. 2 of them are one's from 2010, one's from 2010 and one's from 2008. And I'm thinking, after checking and making sure that I've got my husband's private writings off of them, taking the smaller of the 2 and turning it into a Linux machine, because it would be the perfect size for me to take around and novel write on it, because I've been wanting to novel write forever, but I don't want a full-size laptop. It's currently running, I think, Vista. I could be wrong. One of the 2 was running Vista. So
you have a laptop running Vista?
Yeah.
Oh, that poor laptop.
I know.
That poor laptop. Why do you hate it so much?
I don't hate it. I don't hate.
Of course. I was going to say, granted, if you truly hated it, you'd be running Windows 8 on it.
It's from 2010, so it's pretty old, and it's I'm actually amazed that I was able to boot it up, and I found some of my husband's private writings, and one of them was a very romantic writing. Like, wow, he was that romantic. Well, of course he was. I remember him being that. But yeah, I've used Linux. I had Ubuntu running for about 6 months until my laptop blew up. My laptop blew up because of hardware failure, not because of Ubuntu. It was having issues before I put Ubuntu on it to try and keep it going. Um, but yeah, I was running Mandrake at one point in time. There might have been something that I drew about my ex-husband back when he was my boyfriend. And I put it up on the interwebs. The entire website is gone now, but it was basically him playing on my half half Linux, um half Windows machine. Sometimes I would boot it up into Linux, sometimes I'd boot it up into Windows at the time. And I drew the storyline of him fucking up the computer when it was in Linux, having to wake me up, and me having to tech the machine.
So,
And I took those panels to a science fiction convention, and somebody actually said, "I want this." So I signed it and handed it over.
so part of the reason for doing this and laying on this part right away is because one of the biggest things about computers these days is that, like I said, new stuff is stupid expensive. So if you don't have to buy anything new, and I said have to, don't. And one of the cheapest ways of doing an upgrade or breathing new life into something that maybe you just kind of set aside is a new operating system. And there are a lot of black magic myths about what Linux specifically is. Distrowatch, obviously, as we just said, is a place where you can find a lot of information about them. Linux, I use Linux. It has been my daily driver for, going back to Frankenputer, which means it goes back to 2004, 3-ish. I forget. When I originally got started into Second Life and doing online DJing with them, it was with a Windows 2000 computer. Give you an idea. And I replaced it with what was otherwise referred to as Frankenputer, which was cobbled together from a couple of different pieces and parts and such. You get the idea. And I had seen, well, in what was Borders books at the time, this is going back a little ways, one of the magazines that had a CD on it, telling you all about the happy parts about Linux and such. And for me, my starting off point was Mandriva. Unfortunately, it is now discontinued. Nobody's doing anything new with it, at least not officially. But it was a great starting off point. Came with a CD. Boot the computer from the CD. It starts up and it says, "Hey, you want to test drive everything?" Sure, cool, all right. And would you know that it wasn't Windows or wasn't Mac with its graphical everything? Absolutely. But just works. And everything was happy with it. And as I recall, there were very few things that I needed to do, if anything, that I needed to do any kind of like tinker work with, which is great. And somewhere here in my office, I still have the CDs. I'm not quite sure where I've got them, but I've got a whole bunch of OS CDs that I had burned or acquired through various methods. Be that as it may.
My youngest is 19 now. back when she was 3.5, 4, when her siblings were in kindergarten, grade 2, maybe grade 1 and grade 3, I forget, but something like that. I brought an Ubuntu laptop into the school, and she opened it up and started using it, and I showed the principal, this is what a kid is doing with Ubuntu. And she was able to use it better than she was able to use a Windows machine. I would have stayed with Ubuntu, but uh, let's just say there was other issues that I had to deal with. About 325 pounds of them.
No, that's fine. And I wanna kind of jump off with what you just said there. I have a laptop that I had acquired a year or two ago, roughly 2 years ago. It's an HP 2000 notebook. Yes, HP 2000 notebook. Not that it was built in 2000. That was the model number, the model type. And I was running Ubuntu 24.03 on it. 02, whatever the most recent long-term support version was. But unfortunately, the video driving system breaks under the most recent version. So what I did was I put on a different version of Linux. Now, under the hood, it's fair to say Linux is Linux. However, it's kind of the same way like you would say bread is bread. No, you've got white bread, you've got pumpernickel, you've got wheat, you've got a whole bunch of different forms. It's all bread, but what you do to incorporate making bread is a little bit different from one to another. So I tried out on the laptop something that is based on the Ubuntu system, or it's an offshoot of it, shall we say, Linux Mint. And I put Linux Mint on that, and I said, okay, upgrade everything to the latest and greatest. I literally, I'm gonna show this off. I literally plugged it into my local network, straight into my modem, because it's literally right over here. And it's just like, okay, sure, hang on a second. Ran all the updates, came back and said, hey, I've got these updates. Do you want to install them now? Cool. All right. Give me a password to prove to me that you really do want to go ahead and do this. Okay, give me a couple of minutes. Okay, cool. Everything's in there. You might want to reboot everything just to make sure that everything's cool. I rebooted it, and it's like, yeah, everything's fine, man. What's the problem? So I literally hit the ground running, logged back into my profile for Chrome, grabbed the password file for Firefox, and you know what? It happy as a clam. It just runs. And I even upgraded the Wi-Fi card that was in it because I added Bluetooth and 5 gigahertz networking. It's not real happy about that because the antenna wire that I plugged in there is just kind of curled inside the body of the case. It's not routed correctly, but you know what? That it wasn't supposed to have that in the first place. But like I said, for free, it just works. And that's a beautiful thing to be able to test out. Tech, you wanted to say something, and I'll let you go ahead and do that before I go ahead and start showing off things.
So what I was going to say is Linux Mint is actually a variant of Debian, but it's also inspired by Ubuntu, hence the ease of use and kind of the whole Linux Mint tends to work on a lot of things. I've been using Linux Mint for a while because I find that it's it has a very low overhead unless you load lots of things into it and have them all running all at once. But I use it for diagnostic work just because it's so slick at taking those tasks and just nailing them. It's so clean in that so much that I have USB drives with I have several USB drives with the different variations of Linux Mint on there with various diagnostic tools on each one, depending on what kind of work I'm doing, like data recovery or data analysis or things like that. Um, and that was back before we had thousands of variations of Linux. So I've just kind of kept using it a lot, but it's been evolving quite a bit and becoming more user friendly to the newer crowds than it ever has been before. And in fact, there's even a tool now um, called Etcher, which I didn't used to use Etcher. I used to use um, other tools to burn these Linux ISOs to USB, but Etcher, which was introduced to me by a friend, makes it so stupid simple that if you have somebody who doesn't understand anything beyond plug USB drive in, download copy of Linux, click OK, click on download, click OK, click on USB drive, click OK, done. They can burn a copy of Linux to a thumb drive and boot their computer off the thumb drive. And like I was talking to Io in the host chat, is that one of the beautiful things about so many variations of Linux is that you can burn it to a CD, a DVD, a USB drive, which is the most popular method now, or even an SD card, and boot your computer off that external media without installing it. It's running off the thumb drive or it's running off the CD. Granted, running off CD, DVD is going to be the slowest method, but you can run it off there and try it. And mind you, it's going to load the defaults of its package in that image, which means if you're running it, let's say just thumb drive, USB thumb drive, just because they're so prolific now and so easy to get and so easy to use. If you're running a version of Linux off the thumb drive and all the hardware of your computer is working without flaw, then you can install it on said computer and expect the same result. Only the difference being everything's going to run more efficiently and faster because now it's not running off a thumb drive, which has a bandwidth limitation. Thumb drives, through the USB connection, it's actually running off the hard drive now and everything. So it's a great way to try using Linux, almost any variation of it, without committing to doing the install and having a bad day if you don't like it.
Yeah. So I also added one other item that I'd forgotten to put into the YouTube show notes. Something called Ventoy. Ventoy is a piece that I use over at the shop because, well, it's a great little unit. Now, for those of you that are kind of wondering about, the whole, well, how do you do it? How do you play it? What do you do with it? As an example, at like Distrowatch, you have the opportunity of finding out where to download the ISO file. And ISO file is basically just it's a compression system so that an entire, what typically would be an optical disc, is basically shoved into a single archive, and then you unarchive it to either a new optical disc or to various other devices, like, for instance, a USB stick, which I've got several of these. This one used to be my Win 10 installer medium guy. But depending as to what you get out there, you could have a USB drive pluggy any kind of adapter for compact flash card even, or an SD or micro SD. It doesn't matter what the medium is. What matters is, do you have the capacity for whatever it is that you need? Generally speaking, 8 gigs, and yeah, the fact that I have an 8 gig compact flash disk for my camera is kind of impressive in and of itself, because it's kind of tough to get those. 8 gigs is a good sweet spot. If you've got bigger ones, because, well, let's face it, micro SD and SD cards come in large capacities by comparison at this point. The program that I put up over there is called Ventoy. It's a really cool piece. What you do is, whatever your removable device is, you plug it in to your computer. You make sure you don't have anything on it that you need anymore. And you run Ventoy. Ventoy will ask what device you want me to install to. Tell it what the device is. It'll say, okay, do you want to go ahead and do that? And when you click yes, it will say, are you really sure you want to do that? Programmers, I want to congratulate anyone who makes sure that there is a secondary sanity check when you're doing catastrophic stuff. So you guys over there at Ventoy, thank you. Anyway, but what Ventoy does is...
Well, that's one of the reasons why I mentioned Etcher. Etcher specifically hides any mounted drive except for SD cards and USB drives. Now you can click unhide, but it will not allow you to select your operating system drive, your main drive, to burn a Linux image to, an ISO.
Right. Now, finishing off though, Ventoy, instead of having to burn an ISO to a device, you download the ISO and then you copy it to whatever device you put Ventoy onto. So if you've got space on something for several ISOs, like we've got over at the shop because we got a 64 gig card, you can put however many you want on there. And then when you boot with the device, Ventoy comes up and says, cool, which ISO do you want to use? So if you've got, as an example, Linux Mint and Ubuntu 24 and Mandriva for whatever reason, and, as was mentioned over here, Puppy or DSL, which stands for Damn Small Linux, or
even Zorin.
Bazite, Windows 10 installer, whatever you've got, you can choose whatever ISO and you can just run it as if it were just already there. It just mounts it. And it's a beautiful piece.
That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really...
You know what that reminds me of?
Hmm.
It reminds me of a certain utility that's a 4-letter word that begins with the letter G. Can you think of what I'm thinking of?
No, but I'm thinking very heavily of the Commodore 64 days where it was Pirate's Toolbox, but that's a whole other thing.
I want the new Commodore. I want the new Commodore. I want the new Commodore. Did I mention that I want...
As an aside, by the way...
It's a bootloader called Grub. It allowed you to manage booting to different operating systems.
Well, that's what Linux uses. And when you update Grub, if you've got multiple drives with multiple operating systems, you can, at boot, you can choose whichever one you want to boot from. So if you wanted to dual, triple, quad boot, it's doable. I love that part. So yeah, for those of you that have got Windows and you don't want to get rid of it, but you can afford to throw in a spare drive, you can install Linux onto a spare drive. 240 gig is more than enough to get your feet wet and not have to, blow out Windows, by the way.
Well, I linked I linked the teeny tiny little laptop into the host chat that I found that works. I just need to get a second power cord, not the part that plugs into the machine, but the part that plugs into the charger from the wall. It's a triangle type power cord. And
I know what kind you're talking about.
Yeah, I need, because the other laptop uses the same damn thing. And
yeah,
I've
for
also
about $5.
Yeah, I know. I have to find one. And I I'm pretty sure that there's more because there's tons of cords and tons of tech in this house. I need a buddy that loves tech and goes, okay, that goes together, that works. You keep it. This goes together. It doesn't work. We're gonna chuck it and go through all the tech here because there is tons of tech. And he's, oh,
Are you
You know,
saying I'm fat?
yeah,
I
I
I
am.
will. And funny enough, I was going to say, if you were to contact a local ham radio group and tell them that you would like to make if they've got a spare cable around that they would be willing to part with, that you would be happy to make a donation to them. Because let's face it, ham radio guys, if anybody's going to be holding on to tech, extra technology stuff pieces, that would be willing to get rid of one of them for a good cause, for a donation.
Yeah.
They might be a good choice just because you think of it the terms of, maybe you pay $10 instead, or $20 for like a year's membership to whatever the group is. It's $20 that goes towards emergency communications groups. It's kind of hard to beat that.
And a lot of people don't realize that a lot of the ham radio communities do use laptops, desktop systems, even micro boxes and everything else.
You're gonna love this. You're gonna love this. Before I left Long Island, there were several groups on Long Island, including the ones that do actual like county and state level emergency communications networks. The ham radio repeaters. Okay, I'm not going to get super into it, but the same way that police radios, fire radios, you've got a handheld radio that talks to a base station, which then repeats it out to everybody else to hear. That's the kind of thing. Several of them were operating with Commodore 64s as the control head because two reasons. One, every 10 minutes of operation, they need to identify themselves by FCC regs. You could have it send out Morse code, which is perfectly viable, or because of the built-in software automated mouth system, SAM, it could announce itself via voice. And it was so cool to be able to hear those. The other reason was because if something goes wrong on an original Commodore 64, if you needed to replace a resistor because it blew up, a capacitor because it blew up, it was dirt simple to open up the back with a couple of screws, get a desoldering kit, remove the old part, solder in a new part, plug it all back together again, and plug it in, and it just goes. Seriously, look at the interiors of the old Commodore 64s. Anybody with even bad eyesight would be able to work on those things. And boy, howdy, was it just perfect. And,
by the way, I was looking at
before you go there, and one last thing. For those that want to move further into the Commodore systems to the Amiga operating systems, there is a Linux version now. It's still in beta testing and whatnot, and still cleanup. There is one for the Commodore Amiga OS system, or Commodore 60. I forget exactly what it was, but it's Commodore based. It's not completely optimized. But if you want an opportunity to play like buttloads and buttloads and buttloads of games and utilities and everything, it's available. And again, free. I'm sorry.
One thing to say.
Yes.
Seventh guest.
I don't know if it's in there or not, but
I played Seventh Guest on an Amiga. I remember. And also, the Amiga was the computer where my ex-roommate, the short little fat dude that was Seaman. Um, he liked to play porn games. So I stole the code book for his porn game so he couldn't get into it anymore.
That is wrong and evil. I approve.
It wasn't his computer.
Speaking of interesting, Ventoy apparently has been available on SourceForge since early 2020, and all through 2020 and 2021 and 2022 and 2023, and it's not until you hit the end of or mid to end of 2024 and early 2025 that it breaks into the hundreds of downloads. But recently, just the week of Christmas of last year, the downloads went from 2-3-digit numbers into 6-digit number downloads. So apparently it's become very popular very quickly.
Oh, I did not know about that.
That's
Holy
a good
shit.
thing.
So
that's a real good thing.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a tool that's got a lot of interest around the world, I think Ventoy might be a really good one to check out. And again, what's the word that I'm looking for? Free. Gods, I love free.
Oh, and of those 6-digit numbers, half of them are the Windows image. So there's an installer for this. There's an installer file for this in Windows. There's an installer for Linux, and then there's the live CD ISO. The Windows installer download numbers at 137,000 since downloads a week of the week of Christmas of last year.
Fair enough. And just so that it's easier to find, by the way, I just dropped it over in the show notes. The link for the Distrowatch, linking for the Commodore OS Vision is the name of it. If you want to try that out, guys, it is kind of system intensive.
Linux.
It is system intensive. So
I wonder if it could work.
You got nothing to lose by giving it a try. Just fair warning, it comes with freaking everything in the ISO. It's a big ISO, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot. So just keep that in mind.
I found so far 3 working laptops. 2008, 2010, and 2025. Because he bought one last year for work. And what's funny is I tried a password that he told me was a basic password from back when he was married to his first wife, and it worked. It worked. It got me into those 2 older lappies. I'm staring at a 4th lappy by my foot, and there's a tablet that also seems to be a tablet lappy. But I have to find the power cord, the charger cord for it, and I don't know what it is. I'm going to have to do a reverse Google search, whatever. And apparently there's a Palm Pilot here. I think I saw it once. There's other stuff, and I have to find all the tech because of the stuff he was writing. I need to make sure it doesn't get into the wrong hands.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
And I actually found a script that he was writing. A motion picture script. And I'm looking at it and going, I know a producer that could probably do something with this. But, it's not something everybody would like to see.
So operating systems, we're kind of going a lot on right now. And like I said, because it is the easiest thing to change out and, be able to breathe new life. Because if there's one thing that we have, even if we haven't said it outright, even if there's one thing that we decry more than anything else, is the artificial end of life of hardware. One of the biggest e-waste generations that has happened was Microsoft saying, if you don't have certain hardware in your technology currently, you cannot upgrade to Windows 11. If anybody saw me turn a little bit green by using the expression upgrade to Windows 11, you're not wrong.
You're so right. I'm very pissed off that my main computer that I use is a Windows 10 computer. This one that I'm sitting at is a Windows 11 computer. Black made sure that it was Windows 11 before he started using it. We had a hard drive failure, so he had to go get a brand new hard drive. He got the brand new hard drive, plugged it in, computer works. But my computer, 5 years old, it should still be fine. No, it's a Windows 10 computer. I got the extension for the year, but it's going to have to either retire or become a Linux machine come the fall. And if that happens, I'm going to have to rescue more data and more hardware stuff. Like, come on. The landfills are already deep enough with crap already. And people in third world countries that do tech reclamation are getting sick trying to get the gold and the other precious metals off of the tech boards as they try and deal with the trash.
Tech?
We don't need to be
Tech? What's this? You
where
need
he is.
you need your button.
Sorry about that. I had a quick emergency. What's what?
What's this?
That is a SATA drive.
More specifically, the size of it.
It's a 2.5-inch disk drive, 500 gigs. So what's considered to be a half terabyte. But it's a perfectly usable drive. It's good on saving space. Probably goes into a laptop, but you'll see them in computers nowadays.
Yep.
And they're perfectly functional.
Yep.
Functional. You're not going to get the speeds you get out of NVMe drives, but at the same time, if you're not doing like playing those top-notch games that you have to eke out every single nanosecond of response possible, those drives that you're holding up right there are perfect for everyday use and overkill for them as well.
And for those of you that still have a leftover laptop drive or just an old laptop that you just kind of held on to because you're like, maybe I'll be able to do so. Got good news for you. You still got a drive. If you pick it up and you do this, does anything clatter inside? No. Then have we got good news for you? You got a test bed. Spare drive that you don't have anything otherwise on? You want to try out some of these things and see what it's really like? Yeah, all you need is a screwdriver to get into your main computer and a little bit of small finger work in order to get, power plugged in, data cable plugged in, and then you can test drive and see what happens because...
I would also like to point out that you can go to places like Best Buy and other technology stores, as well as online websites, and buy what's called a hard drive cradle. A hard drive cradle connects, generally speaking, via USB to another computer that's functional, and it can have anywhere from one to many different types of hard drive style connections, from the old IDE ribbon cable connector to the SATA connector to even the M.2 connectors. And what this allows you to do is you essentially turn an internal hard drive into an external hard drive but it's a cradle. So the idea is that you're using that to test various drives. So if you're like me, I have a bunch of external hard drives laying around. They don't have enclosures. They came out of old systems that are retired and recycled and all that. But I don't trust companies to properly erase a drive and dispose of it. There is very common, like if you go on, I've lost count of how many times this happened. I had to go on eBay a few times and get a very old drive type for a very old server. This was a business expense because nobody was making the drive type anymore. We bought the drive. We knew this was a Band-Aid. It was going to be a 4-month Band-Aid. And then we were replacing the system, but we had to get it up ASAP. We had to get it running, and then we had to get it taken care of and upgrades. Wherever this drive came from still had company data on it. It had never been erased. Yeah. So if you think about that for a moment, when you turn in your computer for recycling, you should do two things. If you're going to recycle a computer, there's two things you should recover from it: the RAM sticks and the hard drive. RAM sticks, because if you have another older computer running around that has compatible, that might be able to have extra slots to add to it and upgrade and add to the amount of RAM that you have there, or it might even be faster RAM that's capable of handling, so you get a better response. And two, some systems allow multiple hard drives. Desktop systems, definitely. The desktop system I'm using right now has 2 SATA drives, an old IDE drive in here. Don't ask. And then an actual NVMe chip using my M.2 connector, which the operating system runs off for speed reasons. So it's one of those things that you can get these cradles and put those drives in and go, okay, I'm going to run, I don't need this drive anymore. This is old. I'm going to recycle it. But first, I'm going to run a DoD level erase on it. DoD being, I'm sorry, it's not the DoD anymore. Now it's the Department of War. But a government certified level or a military level certified level of erasure on it, which makes data recovery damn near impossible. And let's just put it this way: if Seagate recovery, data recovery can't recover it, most of the government's not going to be able to recover it. I'm not kidding, because I used to work for a company that had a contract with Seagate, and I found out through that contract that the government has a contract with Seagate to the point of where one of the branches, when they go visit one of the Seagate locations for data recovery, they have a special office area that only they are allowed into, and that certified, vetted Seagate professionals are allowed in there only, certain ones. And they use that recovery technology, and if they can't recover it, the government wipes their hands of it, saying it's unrecoverable. So yeah, if you use those kinds of levels of erasure, which take a long time, again, good reason to have the cradle. But likewise, you can use it to put the drive in the cradle, install Linux on it, and let it run and have a good time with it.
Was there something else? Yeah.
I'm looking at everything that I need to recover from my husband's computers, and he had 3 computers and 4 laptops that I know of. There's possibly more laptops. I think there's one in the garage. I have to find all the data from all of those and recover it. Then I can do all the erasing and whatnot. And I need a tech bro. I need a buddy that can do all this for me, because my brain can't handle it anymore.
I'd be more than happy to go out there, but I don't think that you're willing to pay me what would be necessary.
We'll talk.
I'm there is an old time bumper sticker that I'm thinking of, and it's got to do with it came out in the 70s, and it was all about hitchhikers and the payment scale. So we can talk. What I want to go ahead.
Cash or grass. Nobody rides for free.
You know what?
Ash,
Sometimes
cash, or grass. Nobody texts for free.
that's okay. So
Am I wrong?
before we move past this part of technology, one of the best things that you can do if you want to save your data, as in you don't want anyone to accidentally discover it, is exactly what Tech said. Don't give it away. RAM, if you've got DDR4, absolutely hold on to it. If you're not sure, perfectly reasonable. But if you've got a computer system that uses DDR4, you have a computer system that is going to be strong enough to run Linux on it. And if it's a spare computer that's just lying around not doing anything, that you can turn into a home server. A home server is just another computer on your local network that has storage. That's it. In the basement of my computer, in the basement of my house is my home server computer. Originally, it was in the case that I've got over here next to me. It is now what used to be my daily driver. And the one that has been nicknamed hexadecimal once upon a time ago. It is now deemed Hex Mark II. What it has in it is a 240 gig SSD with Linux on it.
And for those who are unfamiliar, SSD means solid state drive. It means it's a hard drive with no moving parts.
Right.
It means it's less susceptible to being damaged while in use should the computer come in contact with kinetic energy.
After that, it has 4 spinny disk hard drives, and they're in matched sets. I forget how big they are. One set is 2 gigs, 2 terabytes each, mirrored. That's my music collection. And it's about 30% full at the moment. And I got a lot of music on that thing. The other one is 2 sets of, and I'm trying to remember how big it is. I believe it's 13 terabytes. By the way, these 4 drives were originally removed from external take-along drives from Western Digital. And again, they are also themselves mirrored, so that I don't get any speed boosts. What I do get is dedication that if one of those drives fails in one of those 2 groupings, I can get one of the replacement drives that I have, because I bought 3 so that I've got a spare. If one of them goes out, I will get information that will say, hey, something's wrong. And I can go down to the basement, figure out which drive it is, take it out, put in the replacement, and have the data rebuilt. Now, it's not as good as having, an array of 8 disk drives for each, so that, 2 of them could theoretically die and still have the ability of rebuilding everything. But you know what? I'm not running a mission critical system. I'm making sure that my computer backups are safe. My movies, TV shows, cartoons that I've got, archived so that I can run off of my Plex server, my home video server, one that people can access from outside of my home network, have the ability of looking at. Hell, the thing is even got the ability of showing my photographs. Yeah, there's a folder specifically for my photos. So anything that I take on my phone that my kid takes on his phone, we can sort them, put them into the system so that if we want to go looking through, we can. So my old pictures that have been digitized from my 35 mils, they're in there. I've got a folder specifically for my wife because of course I do. So if you want to use old tech to, keep stuff backed up and serve your own stuff, I mean, hell, one of the best pieces of tech that I had bought for $100 because I had it is something from a company called Hauppauge. It's a TV tuner card that plugs into the motherboard, and it has four TV decoders that can operate simultaneously. And I
Something like that.
And I plugged that into a receiver, that I've got in my house, so that I can watch TV remotely through that, whatever channels it can pick up. And because of the hard drive space, I can have it act as a DVR and just record TV shows or movies over the air. And so long as it's over a certain threshold of signal, it's currently digital signal, which means it's just fine. Folks, tech is cool these days. Technology is cool.
Yes, it is.
And this is even without investing any money. That's the best part. If you've got the stuff already, don't get rid of it. You've got a couple of pieces that you can cobble together. Cool. Don't get rid of it. Just use it. Repurpose it. Reuse it. I mean, hell, you can, with a little bit of time, effort, and yes, some money, you could take a laptop motherboard, put it into a case, and make a functional external computer. Because a home server doesn't require a lot. Hell, HEX, okay. HEX operates Plex, which also includes the video tuner. It is my external hard drives for general storage. I can get music playing through Plex or just play it directly as if it were just, like I said, an external hard drive. It'll play movies through it. TV shows, it'll live stream for me if I want to, and I can do that off of my mobile device. And it was also at one point simultaneously hosting a Minecraft server and a Valheim server. The stuff is technically still in there to be utilized, but it's currently turned off. I've considered starting up a Valheim world again, but that's a whole other thing. And it doesn't eat a lot of overhead. Oh, right. And it's also simultaneously operating the Boink system so that it can do, I forget which thing I've got going on right now off of it's Folding at Home or World Community Grid, whatever they're doing currently right now. So it's constantly churning out data for, the benefit of everyone. So, good on us over here.
Just so everybody knows, every time I yipe, that's usually a 4.5 to 5-month-old kitten. I'm not exactly sure how old she is, deciding to climb up my legs.
This is why pants are good.
Good cat.
I am wearing pants.
Good.
Those sharp little claws.
So
yes, I'm staring at you. Oh, I entertained her for several hours today. I put on a video of um gerbils on my computer. She didn't move from my keyboard.
Just be mindful that
Okay.
if you put it on a TV, that the TV is protected from being attacked. Just a thought.
It's not going to go
Nah,
on the
just use
TV.
one of those TVs that's mounted to the wall using only one wood screw, you know?
Screw you.
I'm not. No, I'm not getting in the middle of that.
You know, I take no offense to that. Besides, she can't afford me.
That.
I might be easy, but I'm not cheap.
Well, now, I mean, off topic. What else was it that I wanted to make mention to? Technology-wise, there is one piece of technology I'm going to make sure that folks understand is still viable, whether you believe me or not. And if anybody is hearing Jack Palance's voice in their head for that one, you're my type of old people. Because remember, believe it or not, I miss Jack. One of these little doohickeys. Some
Optical
people
drive.
looking at it and they're going, what you got there? I have one of two that I have. It is an external optical drive. This one in particular, Blu-ray. Shoo, why do you have an optical drive? Why do you have two of them? I'll tell you why. This one I got because it is Blu-ray. The other one I have originally came with the netbook that I bought long time ago that survived trips to Pittsburgh for Anthrocon for several years. It came as a bundle that I got through Woot back in the day. And let me tell you, that netbook that I had, that netbook was great. Unfortunately, it just stopped functioning, so there was nothing to be done about it. But the mouse and the optical drive still work to this day. Why an optical drive? I will tell you why. Because
A lot of reasons.
yes, not the least of which is these things will also do writing data. Optical written data, CDs, DVDs, Blu-ray DVDs these days, it's not as prevalent as it once was, but it's still viable. It's still good tech. Because what you can also have to deal with, I want to find something that is not going to cause any I think this will be okay. Things like this. Audio CDs.
Mm-hmm.
Many of us, yes, this is the soundtrack from Tron, which, by the way, you guys in the helmets, good job, did a great job.
Their name is Daft Punk.
Yes, I know. The vast majority of us still have audio on these things. Or at the very least, you should. And maybe you don't feel like, popping in your 5-disc collection into your home stereo again because turntables and everything. Whatever. Ripping all the data and putting into your computers and your home servers, it's basically a nothing these days. And it just takes some time. Do it whenever you feel like it. I mean, that's how the majority of my audio collection comes from. I do also have a crap ton of LPs, vinyl, because of course I do. But you know what? That's a different methodology. But these are good. And if you've still got them, put them to use, because again, they're still good.
And they still make them.
Yeah.
They still make them. It's not like they're not on the market. It's just that you don't see them bundled with computers nowadays. You don't see a lot. People want thinner computers. They want better battery life. They want more portability with their laptops, which is why they generally, when you get a laptop, you don't have an optical drive in it anymore. They have instead utilized that space for battery size, other ports for attachments, for external accessories and things like that. And yeah, exactly. Now that's a 5.25 inch bay drive package where you install that in a desktop computer. That's definitely not going to fit in a laptop. Yep, that's using the IDE connector with a Molex power connector. My computer system, I always buy cases and power supplies that have adapters and supports and those kinds of things on the boards and such. But they also, if you have something old like that, people look at that and go, "Oh, the new computer system I bought doesn't have the IDE cable. It now has that, which is SATA." Well, believe it or not, for about 10, $15, you can go online and buy an IDE to SATA connector. So I could put both of those drives in my system and use them both. The other benefit of having those drives, right, whether you're using an external USB connected one or using an internal connected one like the other two that you were showing on the show, is that you have access to physical media. Why is this important? This is important because we are currently living in a world where those who control the media, and I don't mean the press, I mean the movie companies and television show companies like Netflix, Hulu, and the rest of them, don't want you retaining your downloads. So if you have Netflix app on your cell phone or your computer, you can download a movie, and that for the duration that it's available on Netflix, you can watch that. Now, granted, on the cell phone one, after you've watched it, you have to delete it after a period of time. It won't let you access it anymore. You'll have to re-download it if you want to watch it again, which I think is silly. But they're trying to prevent people from downloading it and burning it and all that other fun stuff.
They're trying to prevent
Or
people
here's another one.
from having an archive of media so that they can go and pull, the original version of Star Wars, A New Hope, and put that in. They're trying to stop people from being able to do that. Yes, Coco.
And they claim it's to stop. They claim it's to stop piracy. But what's really interesting is that if you make a movie available to watch on, say, Netflix, and the people are paying their fees, and they have a downloaded copy of that movie, or forget that. Let's go to Amazon Video. Let's say you go to Amazon Video and you buy a copy of the movie Animal House, right, for $4. And as long as you have your account, you can go in and watch that movie anytime you want. People are happy with that. But if it suddenly says, "Oh, look, we know you paid for this with the buy option, but you can't watch this anymore," or "Now if you watch it, we're going to start injecting commercials into it," that's when people start returning back to piracy. When media companies make it easy, affordable, and accessible to legitimately buy music, movies, and other forms of media, people turn less to piracy. Here's a real world example. Anybody else remember the days of going online with a little known utility that was killed by the legal actions of Metallica?
I'm sure you're talking about let's see, oh God, I'm trying to remember how many of them. There were several different groups, but yeah, there was
If you say Bonsai Buddy, I'm going to virtually slap you.
That wasn't. LimeWire was the one. LimeWire was the one I was thinking of. Although, It would be really funny to run a virtual machine these days and put Bonsai Bunny and Buddy and see what it does these days.
Damn, no, don't. That you're messing with Satan's cornhole. Anyway,
To me, it wasn't Napster. It
there
was
was
this little program called um, Rocket Reb Pro or something like that. I don't remember what exactly it was, but it was a rocket ship. And I could get all of the music I needed in one location using that program for DJing. I was an awesome DJ when I had that because I could grab from anywhere. And I grabbed really unique stuff at times. But
uh,
now
that's not what
to
I'm
me
going
harder.
for.
I know, I know.
That's not the utility I'm going for. I'm talking about Napster. Napster in its early days allowed people to trade and share MP3 files, and eventually even integrated a utility that allowed you to take your CD and rip them into MP3s. Although I would argue that Winamp did it better because it really whips the llama's ass. Anyway, um,
Better than real media.
yeah.
No
Anyway,
comment.
some artists got upset by that, but I was working at a music store at the time. And when Napster gained popularity to the point of where I could go on Napster and I could search and I could find, I could search for a single song and I could find tens of thousands of people sharing that song, if not more. Um, that period of time, that peak in Napster use, any day that I was working in my music store, not mine, but for the company I worked for, I could every day lose count of the amount of people who would come in and go, "Hey, I heard this song on Napster. It's called such and such," or some variation of it because it might have been mistitled by the person. And I'm like, where's the album? They would come, they would download random stuff off of Napster. They'd listen to it. They'd find the stuff they'd like. Then they came to the store and they bought the CD. CD sales were through the roof when Napster was at its peak. And then Metallica, think, uh, excuse me, I have to drop an F bomb here. Fuck you, Lars. Um,
Agreed.
Metallica took Napster to court and destroyed them. Overnight, CD sales in my store tanked. And then following the numbers in stores across the district, they tanked. CD sales across the region tanked. CD sales across the nation tanked overnight when Napster was brought to its knees. They just went and destroyed it. But sales have been up because people could easily find stuff. Yes, there were people who were downloading stuff and not paying for it. But the amount of people who were paying was outnumbering them. And we saw the same thing with Pirate Bay, with the whole ripping movies. When Pirate Bay was easier, as shady as it is, um, when it was easier to get your movies through Pirate Bay than it was through any of the other services, piracy was up. And then when the other services made it easier than Pirate Bay, because they kept shutting down Pirate Bay servers because you'd shut down one and another one would open up. When the company started making it easy to get access to movies and television shows and everything else because they realized, hey, there's a market for this. Let's make it easy. Let's do this. The numbers that Pirate Bay was reporting dropped like a rock. People are willing to pay for this stuff, but they want to have access to it after they've paid for it. That's the thing. So if you have these external drives and you've paid for your music and you have downloaded copies of it, assuming it's legal through the service that you're using to download it, burn it to disk or put it on your home server. And then if those streaming services go offline, you still have access to your stuff. Go buy the DVDs or the Blu-rays in the store. Go back to buying CDs and such. If you have a favorite band, you do more service to the band buying the full album than you do buying just one song. Plus, you get most of us remember that are on this show remember the days of cassette tapes. You know, it took time to rewind or fast forward. So what did we do? We played the whole thing. Unless there was a really sucky song or a really, really great song that we just absolutely had to hear again, we would play the whole cassette tape. So we would hear all the songs that they had. And nowadays, a lot of people are just selective. Oh, this one song from this one band on this one album. There's 19 other songs in that album. Why aren't you listening to them? Well, I just like this one song. Have you heard these other ones? No, just this one. Dude, did you know that this particular album is a story through song? No.
No.
Go back and listen to it.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I really, really like the first Chicago Transit Authority album, because it's two platters and it's sides 1, 2, or I should say 1, 3, 2, 4, and stuff like that doesn't happen very often anymore. Concept albums like that don't happen very often anymore.
Yeah, you
But
want to go old
it's great.
school? Pink Floyd. You want to go new school? Wind Rose. Their albums are entire stories told through songs.
We're getting really, really tight on time.
Is this where I tell you, Shu, that there are 3 briefcases full of cassette tapes that are all music, as well as a pretty big collection of CDs? You come here, Tech. You can have all these, and you can take them back with you.
I miss having a 3.
I can't make it out that way.
Wrong
I
person.
really can't.
Come on, man.
Him.
You drive
Shoot.
over here. You drive over here to Buffalo. We'll make a road trip all the way across the country. Come on, man. We can do this, dude. We can make it in 15 minutes if you don't mind. You know, every traffic light becomes blue.
What do you think this is? The Cannonball Run or the Gumball Run?
Yes.
Cannonball.
Eastbound, down, up and.
Gumball was hilarious, though.
Well, that one was a little bit more accurate to the reality of the Cannonball Run, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, my Black had so much music.
Oh, I get you. Believe me, I get you.
If I don't give it to somebody, I'm just gonna have to throw it out because I can't take it with me. And some of the stuff, I'm looking at it and going, oh, there's videos that he took, and I don't have the time or the emotional.
Yeah, we get you.
There's probably some videos you shouldn't donate.
Yes, there's definitely those.
Remember, folks, if you have old family VHS tapes, there are probably a few that you don't want to watch.
And just before we get out of here, couple of really quick items. If you have VHS tapes with family videos and whatnot, specifically family videos, your best methodology of dealing with those without going to a service, if you don't already have one, you can usually find at secondhand stores the old VHS and DVD burner combos. Drop in your tape, put in a recordable DVD, hit dub, make sure you're going in the correct direction, and, you know, put stuff onto a DVD. It's not going to be the best quality, but you're not really recording stuff onto VHS because of overall quality anyway. You know, there's going to be stuff. And I'm saying that from the standpoint of somebody who still has, I don't remember if it's 8 or 16 millimeter films that haven't been put onto digital medium as yet. So, if you got something, Tech, very, very quick.
I was going to say there's a lot of services out there of converting VHS to DVD if you don't have the time or patience to do it yourself, such as, believe it or not, CVS actually has a VHS to DVD conversion in their photo center. Not all of them, but it doesn't hurt to ask. Some Walmarts do it. There's some online services where you just mail your stuff to it, and they do it and send everything back.
Yeah, one of the
Heck,
problems.
Walgreens does it at some locations.
Yeah, one of the
And
problems.
Stephanie's saying that my emotional bandwidth is heavily throttled. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
You were saying
The,
problems?
the irony is that I know that there's probably videos of my father-in-law, and if I find those, they're actually worth money. But none of these tapes are labeled. None. Ah!
Yeah.
And I found in this past week several different cards from people that sent messages of condolences to my husband, including his first wife and his father when they died. And because of the first wife card, I random chance there was a phone number inside. I called the phone number. It was his first wife's stepsister who got me in contact with his first wife's half sister, who wants any pictures of his first wife that I still have available. So I have to put together a small box. I'm not too sure if I have any of the other stuff that she wants, but I do have some pictures and I do have some other documents to send to her. I don't want this stuff.
Yeah. VHS tapes at this point, folks, also remember, they, over years of becoming stagnant because air moving around or lack thereof, will grow stuff in it, unfortunately. And this is a known problem. This is a known commodity. There are ways of dealing with it. Is it something that the average Joe Schmuck could do? Technically, yes. Because a lot of it has to do with using a lot of high percentage alcohol. So is it something that you can do to clean stuff up? Yes. May not necessarily be the best of ways. I'm sure somebody has developed a 3D printable system so that you can open up a VHS tape and put it into a thing and pour alcohol in it and run it back and forth to clean it out. I'm sure there's something. But just keep in mind that if you've got stuff that's got growth, don't just give it and not expect somebody to balk at that. Ask ahead of time. A visual inspection will make that real easy to try to figure out. And item last on all of this, because we are over time at this point. Something that we said early, if you don't have to spend money, don't. Prices are astronomical because of the tech bubble, because of the AI bubble. Video cards are stupid expensive. RAM is stupid expensive. Processors are going to become more expensive. If you don't have to spend money on stuff, don't. A couple of accessories here and there because they're kind of cool to have, like trying to find an internal. There used to be things like a 5 1/4 inch bay module for putting cassette tapes into, so that you can high speed record them. I don't know that you can find those anymore, but they'd be really cool to have. There used to be a 5 1/4 inch bay drop in for a cigarette lighter. Don't do that.
Okay.
You can. Don't do that. If you really want a cigarette lighter, get a new NVIDIA card with a high volt 12 power supply connection to it. It'll smoke and burst into flames all on its own for you. But again, don't do that. if you want to ask us about stuff, hey, more than happy to talk, because that's where the tism is for me. I don't know about anybody else. And secondhand shops are really great on that kind of thing.
Coach Gowron just liked my post.
Did he then?
Just now. I'm sitting here playing with my phone, and I see the notification come up. Yes, he liked it.
So there may be a thing that comes out of it. That's actually super cool. And Stephanie's right. Only buy necessities in all categories. True. One of the things that we didn't talk about at all, PC Part Picker, is in show notes so that folks can find that one also. Great utility if you want to imagine what it's going to be like to put together your own dream systems, because you can just mix and match stuff. PC Part Picker is a great for exactly that purpose. And it's all kinds of fun to do that. I think we pretty well covered all bases, at least as much as what we can with, sidetracking and everything. So, how about I leave you with this? Don't spend money you don't have to. Keep your money. Keep everything operational. If you need help, give us a holler, and we'll see what we can do from there. That's literally the only thing that we can do at this point, because we're running a little behind schedule, and it's cold in my office right now, Jack. It is cold. We're going to call it a night. Thank you all for being with us. The normal way of going out, I'm going to change that up. In all sincerity, we hope that you're able to keep your money. I know that sounds really stupid in a lot of ways, but really, right now, money needs to go towards more necessities. So if we kind of help you out a little bit where you don't end up spending $200, $300, $400 for a video card that you otherwise don't really need, cool. That's that much money that you can hold on to for yourself. And trust us, if you've got a video card that's operating just perfectly fine, you don't need a new one. Don't do that to yourself. In any case, we will see about being in touch with you again real soon. Over in the chat, Lexa, Stephanie, as always, guys, thank you very much. Whoever that dumbass was earlier, I hope you enjoyed your 5 minutes of fame, because your account's going to get flagged. Well done, sir. Well done. Io, I'm very glad that you were able to make it. You take good care of yourself, stay warm, and yes, we're proud of you. Good job.
Back when Black was alive, I couldn't drive on the highways here. Now, I've finally taken my first steps, and I actually drove to and from about an hour away on the highway. I'm
Did a good job.
and I'd like to really thank somebody that's one of your fans, because what they've done is made sure that I've got a small emergency fund in case I need to GTFO. Thank you. I'm not saying who. They know exactly who they are, but thank you.
Cool. Tech, thank you. You take care of yourself, and very safe travels this week coming up.
I plan to limit my traveling, but thank you.
Geez, I can't imagine why you might want to do that.
Because of other people.
And I've gone ahead and reported the person.
Okay. I'll make sure that I take care of that as well. But that's a whole other piece. As always, folks, if you'd like to be in touch with us, Probably one of the best ways is over in the Discord. Be more than happy to help you out over there. If you need a voice, if you need a shoulder, if you need an ear, just at everyone over there and we see about what we can do for you. Otherwise, you can get in touch with us over on, well, BlueSky, one of the best ones. And if you are over on BlueSky, please send a thank you of some description to Coach Gowron. I'm sure he would appreciate it. And yes, on Legacy, we are still over there on Facebook only because I don't know how much I'm going to keep going with that, but that's a whole other thing for later. Otherwise, in the meantime, we'll be talking to you again next week. We will very likely be having a far and away more serious discussion next week because we're probably going to have Joe on again, assuming everything works the way that we're expecting it to. I'm going to double check and confirm with him because we got the chance to talk to him yesterday. We may have something more serious to talk about for a change.
He was a bit snarly yesterday. He wanted to come in today, but he wasn't able to. And he was, yeah, I hope.
So we'll see about that. In the meantime, as always, I wish you all the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. And I wish you safe travels. And of course, my lady, it's nearing the end of 20 years. I am still in love. Well, not today, Fujin. I love you. I miss you. You dream of me. Till the next time we're together, everyone. As always, good night.